Alright. G'day guys! Hope you're doing well. Steve here. It's been a couple of months, so I'm sorry about that. It does just take me a while to sort out a time to record these videos. It's not easy for me to get the opportunity, but occasionally it pops up, and so I've jumped on to do a quick solo video. I'm going to be taking he's only survived one adventure. Secundus, the Dog of Melek, who's kind of like my Elric style character. I don't know. Anyway, he's a fighter, but he's got spellcraft as his unique feature at 3rd level, so he can cast some magic. And he's got a little bit of background about that his blade, his cold iron longsword, grants him magic and strength. Because I rolled up 18, a natural 18 when I was rolling his stats on 3d6, which is unheard of for me. Yes, there is a prior video with Secundus, so if you haven't seen that, you might go back and see him in action the first time around. But today, moving on to a different adventure this time. So this time around, I have gone back to, I printed this out ages ago actually, a Forbidden Lands adventure site. This is from the Bitter Reach supplement, one of my favorite supplements actually. Now I've never played this adventure before. I don't know how it, so Worm's Fist it's called, Worm's Fist, however you want to say it. I haven't played this before, and the way I do it solo is I just go through and I've marked up the numbers here because the color version didn't come with the numbers, but anyway, there's a map here somewhere. Where is it? Here. Yep, it shows the various numbers and things, so I've just inserted those. Yes, but the way I do it is I just read as I go. That's basically how I do it. Which I think some people don't like that much, but it works for me. It works for me. Alright, now, the first part that I need to deal with though is... oh no, before we do that, so actually I've got to choose an objective, and what I thought I would do is I've just sort of had a bit of a read ahead this little first couple of pages just to figure out what brings you to the ship, because look at it, it looks like it's not on a wharf or anything, it's at anchor, I don't know, somewhere off the coast somewhere or near some icebergs, something like that. So they're in the frozen north, I suppose, but it looks like there's a number of mission objectives you can give to your PCs, and I of course am using just the one. He's a lone wolf, so he's got a little bit extra power compared to, he's a bit stronger than normal PC for Tales of Gosa. But what I thought I would do is I'll just go for all three. So there's a prisoner who we're supposed to try and free somewhere on the ship. Baragor, I think, is the must be the captain. Then there's an artifact which Baragor has stolen, some kind of artifact which is on the ship, and is most likely, in his private chamber, wherever that is on the ship. And also find the plan. So there's some kind of, in the setting, they're about to break into war, or they're in the middle of a war. I don't know, let's say they're in the middle of a war, because this looks like, look at all the guys in this ship. This ship is packed with soldiers, I guess. So let's say we're in the middle of the war and we're trying to steal some war plans, which will also be, I guess, in the main guys in Baragor's private chambers. Okay, so wherever the captain's chambers are, that's where the artifact the artifact's probably on him if he's moving around the ship. I don't know, because sometimes there's a random table, we might bump into him, and the plans are locked away somewhere in his private chamber, let's say that, and the prisoner's going to be somewhere on the prisoner deck. Okay. So anyway, that's going to be the objectives. But that's right, I was going to just have a quick walkthrough of. That's right. I haven't leveled him up, but I've made a couple of changes to Secundus based on the last adventure. So I totaled up his XP, 17 XP, which is quite a lot from that adventure last time. I might have been a bit generous with the clues because I gave 2 XP for each clue. But in city adventures, you always get, at least a couple of clues. So, anyways, that's how maybe that could be reduced down. But otherwise, I think it was all pretty good. He had a shorn ear, so he had a damaged ear, which was partly cut off. So he's had to rest for 6 weeks. That was 40 SP per week. That's right, he did get 1,000 silver as the reward, which is actually the maximum, I think, that I rolled. I rolled maximum reward for him last adventure, so we got that money and he's spent most of it now. So he's got left, he's got 252 SP left. That first 200 takes up a slot in his battle gear. He's got another 52 in his belt pouch. So he has to spend 240 silver on middle lifestyle, so that got rid of some of that 1,000. Oh, that's right. Yes, I spent another 200 SP on carousing, so I gave himself another 10 XP. So his XP was 60, went to 77 because of the 17 that he earned, and then got another 10. So he's at 87 now because he's done carousing, so we've got to roll on the carousing table. So I'll do that in a second, but the other thing is I bought him a silvered flail. So he's got this extra weapon. Oh, silvered flail, that's no good. Silvered flail, my friends. I imagine it's one of those spiked, Morning Star. Anyway, it's spiky. Look at the spikes on this guy. He's got a spiky flail. And it's silvered, so he can hit werewolves and all that with it. And that was 308 SP. So he spent most of his silver. He's still got a little bit left though. When he gets called off onto this next adventure and to sort out this whatever's going on the ship and rescue the prisoner and so on. Alright, but that's right. We're going to do carousing, so let's quickly do that. So carousing. Yep, so you can spend up to... Every 20 silver you spend gets you one experience point. So he spends 200 up to a maximum. Yeah, so at level 4 to 6, the most XP he can get is 10 XP. So he went maximum. He spent several nights. Well, let's say 10 nights. I don't know, 20 SP per night. I don't know. Anyway, he spent multiple nights carousing. Okay, what do we need? D100. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Oh, 0-1. What the hell? Chains. Oh my god. What? The awakening change is part of an Odyssean slave caravan. Word of your predicament somehow makes its way to your allies. Consult the bones to determine if the caravan is delayed while checking supplies the following day. Okay. Well, that is super interesting because one of the options in this adventure is captives. Boom. The PCs are captured by Baragor's troops for some reason and locked in the cells. On the Worm Swifts, they must escape before Baragor decides to torture them for information. Can they break out of their cells, etc., etc.? Okay, well, we now have a different... I was going to go with... Because last adventure we discovered that Secundus had a dog. Because at one point the dog got threatened by the Ming warriors. Anyways, so I was going to make it that the prisoner was his dog that had been stolen by the soldiers and taken onto the ship. But, even better, okay, while carousing, Baragor's troops have press-ganged Secundus onto the ship. And so he's going to start... Oh my gosh. Well, that... Okay, with no gear, really, would they leave him in his scale mountain? No, they would not. They would not leave him with his armor or his weapons or any of his stuff, really. What would the... He's a prisoner. So he's going to have nothing. All right, we're going to start with nothing. But he will have prepared... He will have had access to his spellbook, just prior. So we'll say this is just, he's been captured, he's knocked out or whatever. He wakes up and... so we're going to have to change his hit points. Okay, that's fine. Yep, so we'll do that in a second. Wakes up in the prisoner hold, wherever that is. We'll figure that out in a sec. And he's got to escape now. But I suppose... Yeah, so he's going to escape, but... On the way out... I guess he could still explore and might be able to find some... Yeah, he might be trying to take some valuables with him as he escapes. Alright, so that's a new mission. Oh my gosh. Alright, very interesting. So currently we're going to ignore all his gear and pretend like he's got no gear. I think that's the way to do it. So, looking at the... Let's find out whether... There's obviously a part with prisoners then because it talks about prisoners. Let's see if we can find that. Cells. Okay. Alright. So the cells are in Area 7, which is here. Okay, so we're in there. We're in this bit. Okay. We're in there. A few prisoners are held in 4 small cells. Devoid of hope, they look up at you before bowing their heads, resigned and broken. These cells hold prisoners who have displeased or opposed Baragor, awaiting interrogation by the torturer. Oh, outside is a bored jailer. Okay, there's a jailer here. Alright. Actually, we'll make us blue and the jailer's red. He's carving a piece of wood, okay. 36 prisoners in here. Alright, there's some people in here. Okay, Margarine, a merchant, and Poldor, an Alderlander. Okay, well, very interesting. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Right, so he was 0 hit points. He wakes up. He's going to take a short rest to recover some hit points then. So let us do that. Now, as a lone wolf, he gets 3 d20 instead of... So he gets 3 will checks instead of the usual 2. 13, 7, and 20 is a fail. So 13 is a fail, 7 is a success. Okay, so he's going to get back... We'll get back half his hit points. Let's see, so... 15... Round down. He's got 18. He's back to 18. Alright. So he recovers groggily, stands up, doesn't know where he is. He's like, what the hell? What's going on here? Bars, balls! How have they been captured by evil Baragor and the troops? Okay. And so, what was it? 2d6. There are 2d6 prisoners. There are 9, and 2 of them, one of them is Margaret, a merchant. Imprisoning is a warning to other merchants, okay. And Poldor, File, an innocent who's been accused, wants to get back in the good graces of the captain. Right, so how are we getting out of here? We've got nothing, but we are going to say he has got his spells. He's got his spellcraft and access to his 2 spells. But of course, spellbooks are... his spellbooks have also been taken. Yeah, so where is all his gear? Well, it might be that it's been split up. So some of his gear might be... I don't think it would be in this area here from the looks of it. It might be in another chamber nearby. We will let the bones decide that when the time comes. So at the moment... Alright, Crush of the Warp and Transmogrification. We've got some pretty freaking sweet spells there. How are we going to get the jailer? I suppose at some point the jailer is going to gives everybody some food and water, and we are going to want to overpower him in some way and steal the key off his belt and let ourselves out. Now, one way to do that definitely would be to cast Crush of the Warp. So that's what we'll do. So at some point the jailer comes over, he's opening the cells. Well, actually, we might not open them. He might just put the food, I guess, through a slot. And as that's happening, Secundus goes for it with his spell to try and paralyze him with Crush of the Warp, and then he could take his key off him at his leisure, open the thing, release all the prisoners, I suppose, and all hell will break loose from there. So, let me think about that. Now, can we persuade, as part of this plan, he's going to try and persuade these 2 people, Margaret and Poldor, see if they can create some kind of distraction while he's muttering his spell so that the jailer doesn't think that something is about to happen. So, are they going to provide us... I did not realise that. 16 charisma, that's very awesome indeed. And he's got leadership too. So, okay, he's going to try and persuade his 2 new friends. 18 is a miserable fail indeed, but because he has leadership, I'm going to let him use a reroll. Okay, come on. 12, pretty good. Now, will they resist? Will they be convinced by that? Or are they worried for their safety? They probably are worried for their safety. So I think he's really got to try and convince them, right? Okay, so, or at least convince one of them. So we'll both have them make willpower rolls to see if they will be persuaded or not. Ooh, 12. Okay, let's just check what that can be. Margaret's... Oh no, her will is 5. So she is convinced. And, oops, what was the other one? I missed it anyway. Okay, let's say he got 9. And his willpower is 9. But in any case, we rolled 12, I think. So we beat, our margin of success was 4. His margin was 1. So basically, we convinced them both. They're both convinced. They help with they cause a bit of a distraction. One of them's feeling ill and moaning or something. And anyway, it's creating noise. And the other prisoner's like, what's going on? As Secundus is muttering his spell under his breath to try and capture the jailer. So let us roll then the spellcasting check. 8, pretty good. Oh, that's pretty close to a great success, but not a great success. All right, and so it's a normal success, which means I think the jailer will need to make a luck will save to resist. 9, that will be a fail because the jailer is most likely something like, I don't think there's any stats for the jailer in the adventure, so he will be just a human. Oh, he'd be a human guard or soldier, but luck 4, basically. Okay, willpower 10, yes. So fails to save. Now let me just double check something. 2d6 rounds, okay, and 1d4 humanoids. Yep, okay. So we're obviously going to get at least 1 humanoid, which is him. Yep, we're higher level. Okay, so that works. All right. This incantation reaches out a hand as the jailer is handing off the food, looking over at the two distressed, the merchant and the poor innocent, moaning about stomach pain or something. Suddenly he freezes, tenses up, he's frozen in place. Let's have a look. Oh my god, only for 3 rounds, not very long. So Secundus has to work quickly. He quickly moves over, grabs the key, say that's one round, unlocks the door, that might be the 2nd round, and 3rd round he comes out and ushers the other prisoners out. Now, would they all leave? I don't know. At least some of them would. I think they are caught, they're sort of very hard to escape the ship with guards all over it, I suppose. So some of them might just sit in the cell and sort of resign to their fate. Actually, that is what it said, resigned and broken. So, let's see, out of the 9, oopsie. Oh, 8! No, well, okay, we're not going to say our 2 friends who we persuaded. Okay, it's just us 2, it's just the 3 of us. It's our 2 friends, our merchant and the innocent, and the rest of them are not going to leave. They're just sort of sitting in the corner. They don't think we're going to escape. Now, they're not going to cause trouble for us, I don't think. Are they going to start yelling? I didn't think about that. Somehow because they think they're going to get more favourable treatment. If, well, I think not yet. Not yet. Not while we're here and we're free and the jailer is held. They're certainly not going to cause trouble for us yet. But maybe they could start yelling out later. Alright, so anyway, the 3rd round. We 3 are out. The jailer is still held for this round. We don't really know how long it's going to last, actually. But the plan would be to knock out the jailer, I suppose. Or tie him up. Or throw him in the cell. Why wouldn't we do that? We just chuck him in the cell. Yep. Lock it. So that's probably the third round. And by the 4th round, he's out of it. He comes out of it and he's back to normal. So he's going to start yelling. So that is not good. Yeah. Now the jailer, would he have a weapon on him? Let us consult the bones. Yes, he do. He's got a weapon. Okay, is it by fluke? Because he's only recently come aboard. Is it perhaps Secundus's cold iron longsword or his silvered flail? Well, I think there's some chance of that. Let's say it's even chance. Yes, he does. He has one of them. All right. Is it the cold iron sword? Yes, he does. Okay, now there is a negative there. But I think we can probably just ignore it for now. There's enough negatives going on. He's awake and he's about to start. Alright, so we've got our cold iron longsword back. We've grabbed it off the jailer, or perhaps it was leaning against the wall. The jailer was examining it. Whatever. He's only a recent acquisition to their prisoner stock. Alright. So we've got our sword back and we are So we're just strapping that back onto ourselves, I suppose. And then this prick, the jailer, starts yelling out, "Escape! There's escape! Help!" You know, whatever he's yelling. In this other room, I can see there's probably somebody. It looks like the torturer. And is there a way? There must be doors all through here. And there's guards here too. So this is not ideal. This is not ideal, my friends. Okay, yeah, we've used one of those. And actually, oops, forgot to check for his DDM, which is 3. And it's still... Ooh, it's still... wait, is it D8? I'm not sure if it's D8 or D10 at this level. D10. Okay, D10 at this level. So, get rid of that. 4. No, it did not go off. Awesome. All right, so we're still good. All right. So, yes, we've got a guy yelling. We've got my 2 friends, and we've got our sword. Now, what are we going to do about this bomb? Because the jailer is going to... Oh, my God. Cause all sorts of struggle. Well... Okay. Yeah, I think what he's going to do... So at the moment, there's just the jailer in here, and there are how many? There was 9. There's 7 prisoners. And they now have a chance. And look, there's a torturer here. So it's quite possible that these prisoners want to get vengeance on this evil jailer. So I think what Secundus does is he hisses at the other prisoners and says, "Silence him, you fools!" Something like that. Take your vengeance, and tries to goad them, tries to persuade them to take action against this jailer, for their own sake. Partly for their own sake, but also for his. Alright, so I'm going to be the green, and he's trying to persuade them. Oh yes, that's a massive success. So this is a great success, a margin of 14, and as a representative, this is sort of a representative role of the 7, they fail miserably. So they are persuaded. They weren't going to leave, but now that they've got the jailer in their hands. As the jailer is coming around and he's about to... Well, actually, he does yell out. We'll say he does yell out at least once. "What's going on? Escape! Escape!" Something like that. So the torturer at least will hear. I'm not sure if the guards will hear. We'll make a roll for that. But then the prisoners pile on him, drag him down. They've covered his mouth, beaten him up. So that's the end of the jailer, as far as we're concerned. But we will have to contend with whatever's. Well, I guess we'll move quickly. Well, this is the most obvious door. There'd be a door this way too, but... okay, we'll just make it. Well, that's a good question. Actually, which way would he go? When he came in here, he didn't know. So we'll consult the bones. Do we head for, the torturer's chamber? Yes, we do. This is the trump die, the red one. So if there's a tiebreaker, the trump die overrides it, so that you always get a result. Okay, so we're barging in here. All right, so this is room 8. All right, that's where we are. Do our friends come with us? I suppose so. I mean, what else are they going to do? We've got the sword, so they're following the guy with the sword. All right. Torture chamber. The room stinks of blood and urine. Lying on a table is a whimpering body. Oh, cut open from throat to navel. Hanging on the walls are knives, hooks, chains, needles, and many instruments of torture that you don't even recognize. A man dressed in just a soiled leather apron turns toward you. In his hands he holds a pair of pliers and a long-bladed scalpel. He gives you a toothless smile and bids you welcome. This is Oppo Lato, Baragor's master torturer, the most detestable person in all of the Bitter Reach. Prisoner of war who's about to die. Right. Okay, have they got business with him? Right. He yells for help. Okay. So, well, the jailer already yelled for help. So I think as we bust in here, the master torturer is here, he's not surprised, but he's alarmed as we all burst in to silence him, I suppose. Alright, I think it's just initiative to see what we're going to do. So, okay, let's have a look here. He's an expert at inflicting harm. Also, one of the foremost healers. That's interesting. Okay. Alright, he heals them to prolong their suffering. Okay. What a bastard! Alright. But otherwise, he's not really anything special, but we could make him something special. I think we're going to make the Torturer a champion. So we will treat him as a human champion. So he's some kind of, I think, ex-warrior who's at some point achieved some, significant deeds, and anyway ended up in torturing, which he preferred. And this is where his employment has taken him, but he's actually a very accomplished warrior. We're going to treat him as a champion. All right then, so now our two friends, the merchant and the innocent, we're just going to treat them as basically commoners. Not really very useful in a fight, but you never know. They could prove useful in many other ways. Okay, so champion. Let's see. AC 14. Well, actually, we'll give him, because he's only got a leather apron, we'll give him AC 11. All right. So Oppo Lado, AC 11, HP, 4 hit dice. Let's roll it up. 12, 13. Ooh. All right. 21 HP. Pretty good. Pretty decent. He's got a scalpel. But I mean, on the table next to him, let's have a look. There's some kind of table with awful implements. So he's got like a cleaver or something there, which he will use, which will treat as a, I will treat as a short sword, I think. Okay. So he's got the equivalent of a sword. All right. Let's do initiative. So, oh, 20, massive fail. Okay, he's going first. All right, well, he leaps to the attack, I suppose. Secundus is the obvious. Secundus is the obvious leader of the group, brandishing his longsword, so he'll attack him. 14, that's a hit, because at the moment we've got AC of 10, yep, 10. So, what was it, D6? 5. Oh, now, well, I guess we'll roll up his strength just in case. Oh, wait. Let's have a look. Strength 16 for a champion, yep, so that's another +2. 7 damage. Now, wait a minute, because he's a lone wolf, we do get to roll the fortune die. Okay. Shit or nothing. All right, he's down to 11. So he takes a chunk. The cleaver lands on his biceps like that, takes a decent wound, and now it is Secundus' turn. Because he is a lone wolf, he gets 2 attacks. Oh, that is probably a miss. Wait a minute. Oh no, 7 + 7, 14. That's a hit, and the other one is a miss, but we do hit with the first attack. So D8, 6 damage. Nice. All right, down to 15. Now, should we? He is of equal we could use a major exploit, maybe, to try and shorten this combat before he yells out further. Let's see. I'm not sure if cannot kill or incapacitate instantly unless the target's hit dice are equal to or less. Yes, my friends, yes, because we're 4th level, he's a 4 hit dice champion, so we can. Right, so as a major exploit, we're going to pierce him through the heart and try and kill him in one blow. 1, yes, my friends. Okay, luck down to 11, but he instantly kills. So he leaps forward, he takes the blow on his bicep from the cleaver, but then the cold iron longsword pierces the heart of the evil Oppo Lato and drops him across the table, across the poor bastard who only has minutes to live, apparently. Blood everywhere. He drops off, slides off, down onto the ground, and the 2 other prisoners probably spit on him or give him a kick, because perhaps they've suffered at his knives over the last couple of weeks. And then that is the end of Oppo. But what of the prisoner on the table? Well, he's only got a few minutes left to live, apparently. Can he be saved? We do have apothecary. We have no gear, but it did talk about how... Okay, I reckon there's a chance. I think it's going to be unlikely, but perhaps the prisoner can be saved. The torture victim. Oh yes, look at this. Massive yes. It can be saved. There is a negative involved. So, I think what we could say is, for example, there is the equivalent of an apothecary's kit here. There's bandages, there's some bits and pieces, poppy milk, things like that to try and keep the person alive, to prolong their suffering, as it said, that Oppo likes to do. But in order to save the prisoner, we will have to use it all up. We'll have to use that up to keep him alive. And obviously he's in no state to fight. But, you know, he's just suffered horribly at the hands of this man. So Secundus will do that. Well, he's going to try. So, do we have time for this? Well, that was a very quick battle. I don't think Oppo had time to yell out for the guards. Although these guards may have heard the initial... Wait, was there a noise? There was, because he did yell out at one point. So some of these guards are probably coming to investigate. I think they are. Well, I mean, it does go silent then after that. But he does say something like, escape. So, okay. Yeah. But then the other prisoners are onto him pretty quickly. So, let's just consult the bones and see. Are these guards coming to investigate? No, they're not. Alright. We're left with a no. Okay. So, you know, they're in the middle of playing dice, or they're drinking, or whatever, they're laughing. They did not hear the disturbance. I mean, if this is where they're guarding, you know, they could be walking around anywhere really, but we'll just say that as fortune has it, they're not coming to investigate. So at this stage, we do have a minute or two to try and patch up this guy's wounds and let him live. So he's not going to be any use to us. We'll release him from the table, obviously, unchain him and so on, but we'll see if we can keep him alive at least. 9 on our apothecary check. His intelligence is 13. Yes, he succeeds. So we save the poor torture victim. Oh well. I guess we temporarily save him. I don't know. He's I guess he's got to come with us. Oh god. All right, he's come with us. Number 3. So we've got 3 tag-alongs now. We have this guy's dead. All right, Secundus. The Dog of Melek is leading his small band of prisoners out of this chamber, and hopefully to freedom at some stage. Now, very interestingly, have a look at this. There is this massive chain here, right, and this device, I suppose, to, you know, there'd be one of those massive anchor, I don't know what the hell you call it, the turning thing, the thing that you turn, that pulls the chain up and pulls out the... So this device is probably accessible in this room. It's probably here. It's probably connected here. And so theoretically, it's possible that our friends could escape out of here, climb down the chain, and swim to freedom. I mean, maybe not badly wounded guy, because he was on the brink of death a minute ago. But perhaps they can wait here. These 3 might be able to wait in this room, wait till they gather their strength, and then try and make their escape. Because they're aware, I suppose, that this ship is full of guards. There's guards everywhere. From the look of it. Look at them. Here. So the odds of... Well, there's 0 chance of battling our way out of here. We're going to have to use some kind of guile and trickery to make our way out. So I think for these 3 guys, this is probably their best chance. You know, just by pure fluke, the anchor axis is here. So they may be able to get out, climb down, swim away to whatever the closest coast is, and make their way from there. Now, is that a death sentence for them? I do not know. I don't know enough about where this adventure is set. But wait a minute. Maybe it's in the ships each have a crew of about 100 sailors and 250 soldiers. What in the... 250 soldiers plus 100 crew on this ship. It's a huge ship. is anchored close to Northfall, so this must be a town. Close. Oh, you got to get out here by boat. Okay. Use rowboats. Magical means. Okay. So, the ship does have little rowboats. Now, I can't see on the map. I can't see any little rowboats on the map. Of course, they're there somewhere, you know, on the sides, so that they can be lowered down to let people escape. But I think that means, basically, that they're close to, what was it, Northfall? They're close to a town or a port. They are somewhere near a port, so I think that's right. That these three guys, their best chance of escape is to hole up here until the tortured guy feels like he can actually swim, and then they will all end up going down the chain and swimming for their lives. So we're going to leave them there. They're going to make their escape at some point and take them off the board for now. So Secundus just has to look after himself for the present and try and, I suppose, well, let's try and retrieve his gear, at least some of it,